Hello there, Gemini. Thank you so much for stopping by for your tarot insights. What we're going to be looking at today is one life cycle that you're going through right now. Generally, these can go for up to a month, but not necessarily that long. So when we look at a life cycle, first of all, you should know that we all have several life cycles all running at the same time. A lot of times they tend to overlap. And a life cycle is something that just sets us up to either learn something or to experience something. So what we're going to look at in this spread is going to be the setup for the lesson or experience, the lesson or experience itself, and then what happens as you integrate that lesson or experience into your life. And different ones of you will be at different places in this life cycle. Most of the setup usually is all present tense, so you would recognize that as I am walking through that. And then the lesson or experience might be in the future, so you may not recognize that part. And also what happens as you integrate the lesson or experience. If you're not experiencing the lesson yet, you're probably not getting what happens as you integrate it either. So the end of the spread may be recognizable or it may not, because that may be more futuristic than the first part. The first part will be more present tense. That just gives you a chance to kind of judge and see, is this reading actually applying for you? Because this is a general reading, so not everything here is going to apply to every single Gemini who watches. Okay, so I just cleared the cards and shuffled. Let's start putting some cards down, and then we'll start talking about what is coming up on the table here. Okay, my dears, what do we have? You know, we're coming into eclipse season, so this is kind of a big deal for a lot of us. Let's see, Geminis. The first thing that I'm looking at tells me about your environment, and your environment is any place where you have energy or effort invested. Most times it is actually home, but I have also seen it come up as work or as school before. You'll recognize it as I'm talking about it. Okay? So what I'm seeing is that you have some kind of environment that you either are in a place that really supports you exploring your own intuitive abilities, or you share your environment with someone who is probably a female who is highly intuitive herself. So either you're sharing your environment with someone who's highly intuitive, or the environment that you're in is sort of pushing you to tap into your own intuition more. Okay, one or the other. And for, you know, different ways for both of you. For some of you, that'll be both of those will be true. The next thing that I'm looking at does talk to me about subconscious leanings. It looks to me like there's a lot of distractions going on in many of your lives, Gemini, and you're feeling a little bit scattered, like you're trying to accomplish too much and you don't have enough time to do everything that you want to do and make progress with it. So your subconscious mind is working on, okay, how do I focus down a little bit more? How do I take a peek at, you know, really getting something accomplished? And what are my priorities? What do I want to sort of set on the back burner for a while I really work with other things? So that's what I see going on in your subconscious, and these are background things that are going on. Every once in a while they'll come up to the conscious side, but mostly it's subconscious. You may be dreaming about these things. You may have the occasional thought. Subconscious is what's working on it. Okay, the next thing that we're looking at talks to me about two different things. First of all, your learning style, and secondly, your communication style. What I'm seeing here, Gemini, at least as it pertains to this life cycle, is that your learning style is that you are picking up information lately through networking, through talking to other people, just getting out there and mixing it up a little bit, talking to different people about different things, sort of being open to where the conversation will lead you and what kind of information might show up. Key information at that, I would say. As far as your communication style, I don't see you holding back on speaking, but I think really you're focusing more on listening right now than you are on talking. It's more important for you to hear what's being said than it is for you to get your point across as it pertains to this particular life cycle at least. Now, the next thing that we have coming up talks to me about work. And for me, work is two things. It's how you make yourself feel like you're a productive part of society or how you earn a living. And then the other way that it comes up is that thing that you're doing inside of yourself to make you more happy with you. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll look at the outer work first, which has to do with how you support yourself and finances. And what we have showing up here is that where it comes to work, you have some plans in place and you really want to follow those plans quite well as you keep working. You don't want to deviate from those plans. Those are your intentions. As far as inner work, it looks to me like you're wanting to curb impulsiveness in Gemini. That you're wanting to take time to think things through before you just jump into the water. You don't want to be that impulsive. You don't want to be making impulsive decisions that you're going to change your mind later on. You want to take the time to really sort things out and come to a nice conclusion and then follow through with that decision that you made based on that conclusion. So that's the inner work. Now, looking next at that part of your personality which is being grown or expanded right now, I would say that your personality itself, how you present yourself to the world, how your perspective on things, how you view things, these are being changed, and they're being changed at a profound level right now. So right now, that part of you that's growing or expanding is the part of you that is adapting to these new perspectives, to these new ways of being, to these new ways of presenting yourself to the world. So adaptation is the key word right now for you. The next thing that I'm looking at talks to me about things that you have stood up for, okay? And so this is something that maybe somebody has said to you, why are you doing that? And you've had to explain or defend yourself to them. So it looks like you have been, how is this coming in? I'm hearing that this is more about emotional. There's two ways that this card could manifest. It could be about putting money in savings or stashing back. And for some of you, that's going to apply. I wouldn't say for the majority of you. For the majority of you, it's coming through in the other way, which is more about shielding your emotions, safeguarding your emotions so that you don't feel so vulnerable. And so I feel like that's one of the things that's going on right now. And somebody has actually called you on it and said, hey, you used to be really open about how you felt about things. Why are you so mum's the word now lately? What's going on there? And you've had to, defend yourself and tell this other person, hey, this is just what's working for me and what's best for me right now, so I'm going to keep going with it. Then the next thing that we have showing up talks to me about how other people perceive you. And what I can tell you about how other people perceive you is they see you as hardworking, as diligent. I'm kind of getting a sense of that you won't give up. That once you set your mind to something, it's happening because you're making it happen. You're not about to give up. You're like a dog with a bone. You're not about to let go of that bone once you've got started on something. And this is how other people see you, as you are really good on following through and making sure something gets done. And it feels like they kind of think, maybe even to an unreasonable degree, like where other people might have given up about 3 or 4 days ago or weeks ago, you're still hanging in there pedaling forward. So they see you as somebody who's very hardworking and very diligent, somebody that if you say you're going to do something, you will do it, come heck or high water. Okay? So all of the stuff that I've talked about so far, that's the present tense part. That's the setup for the lesson or the experience. We'll talk about the lesson or the experience and what happens as you integrate that into your life as we move forward. But everything that I've talked about so far is more present tense. So you should be recognizing most, if not all of this already in your life. I would say that because it's a general reading, like I always say, not everything is going to apply to every single Gemini. Here's how I would look at this. Whatever percentage of this part applied, I would expect about that percentage to apply to the end part. So if you're sitting out there in video land watching this and thinking, wow, I just don't relate to anything she said at all, then guess what? The end is not going to be yours either. This is not your video. Please don't try to make it fit where it doesn't. For those of you who are sitting in video land going, wow, it's like she's got a window straight into my life, then if everything fit for the first part, then more than likely everything from the last part is going to fit. If you've got like a 90% fit or an 85% fit on the first part, same thing. Last part, you can expect about 85 or 90% to actually fit for you. Okay? It's a general reading. If you want a reading where I can just focus on just your energy alone and we know that what we're getting applies to you, then you can always schedule and book that. But for a free reading on YouTube, this is going to be something very general because there's a lot of people watching. Alrighty, so on with the reading. The next thing that we're looking at is the lesson or the experience. And what I see here for your experience basically is that you're going through a time of confusion. Earlier we were talking about prioritizing. Your subconscious is working on, what is it that I want to prioritize? What distractions do I want to eliminate from my life so that I can go forward with the things that are most important? I feel like your lesson or experience here is being really confused about that, like having a hard time making up your mind and actually moving forward in the direction that you want to go because you just don't know what you want to prioritize. And so that's what's going on whenever we have this. Now, I will tell you, obviously, I'm going to pitch myself where I see an opportunity, but I will tell you that this type of confusion is really great to take to a reading and say to the reader, these are my options, option A, option B, option C, etc. But I don't know which one I really want to focus on or which one is going to work out the best for me. So a good reader is going to be able to say, okay, well, let's look at what happens if you do option A. Let's look at what happens if you do option B and go through all those options for you so that you can make a more educated decision. So this is prime time for a reading right now. Just saying. Just saying. You don't have to get one with me, although I would really appreciate it if you did. Now, looking at what happens as you integrate this lesson or experience into your life. So as you're going through this confusion and trying to sort things out, I see a lot of stress here. That's the first thing that comes up, is that this is a very stressful thing for you to try to choose and try to prioritize. It brings more stress into your life than what there needs to be. The next thing that comes up is a card that talks about that information, new information comes up as you're trying to make up your mind. So this new information hopefully will help you to move forward in a more productive way. Maybe you get the new information because you get a reading with Amista Bennett. Maybe the new information just floats up without you actually doing anything like that. Maybe it just floats up in life and helps you to make that decision. So going through stress, having new information that shows up, and then ultimate fulfillment of this life cycle, which is also the beginning of the next life cycle, is that you have something that you're healing up from, something emotional that you end up healing up from as you sort all this out and come to your decision and deal with this confusion. And so this is actually a healing process for you to get through this and to work through this. Okay? So there you go, Gemini. I hope that you find this very useful and that it helps point you the right direction. For anybody who would like to have a private reading, all you have to do is check out my website, follow the instructions there. I also offer Reiki services, so if anybody would like Reiki, the beautiful thing about distance Reiki is that you get to receive Reiki right in your own home. You don't even have to go anywhere to receive it. I also offer addiction relief services if you know anybody or if you would like to kick an old habit that you're just tired of. And I offer house clearings and psychic parties for those of you who are in the local area, local being Golden, Colorado. I will do psychic parties or house clearings anywhere within a 200-mile radius, or 200-mile radius is too far. About a 2-hour drive is about as far as I'm willing to go unless you're going to actually pay my travel expenses too. All right, so there we go. That's it. Everybody, thank you so much for stopping by, for hanging out, for liking if you like this, for sharing if you think somebody you know might find this useful, and for subscribing if you haven't already. I do appreciate all of your support, and of course, thanks for your comments as well. Peace out.